happens when billionaires become no longer useful? What happens when people no longer follow the rules? What happens to love and caring? What happens to the truth? When every empty pocket is full, won't buy another political promise. What happens when greed is no longer a need? What happens when the hungry finally get to eat, then breathe? What happens when the loud lies fall flat on the street and the old fear machine can't find the key? What happens then? What happens then? What happens then? What happens when we stay and don't bend? Oh, what happens then? What happens then? What happens then? When love is the law, oh, and fear can't win. What happens when hateful doesn't work here? What happens when we don't buy their fear? What happens when everyone has a home? What happens when no one feels alone? What happens when the gate stays open all night? What happens when the broken get back their right? What happens when the table has room for more and nobody has to beg at the door? What happens then? What happens then? What happens then? What happens when we stay and don't bend? Oh, what happens then? What happens then? What happens then? When love is the law, oh, and fear can't win. What happens when every child is fed? What happens when the river runs clear instead? What happens when hands reach out, not up, and enough is enough, and enough is enough?